the impact of AI as helping us do three things. First is AI can help make hard or labor-intensive things easier to do. The second thing is making the output of our work better. The third thing that the AI can do is to help us do new things that we could not have imagined that we could do, or that we just felt there were too many obstacles to getting them done. Hello, and welcome to the 100th episode of the Healthtech Marketing Show. It's a very special show in many ways. I'm going to share a little bit about the journey to get to 100 episodes, but I also want to go deep on something that we've been working at Health Launchpad, and I think you'll find it helpful. Not surprisingly, it's about AI, and I'm going to open the kimono on what we've been up to with AI. I know the prospect of me opening the kimono is not a pretty sight, but the AI stuff's kind of interesting. So if you're wrestling with how to go beyond the basics with AI, I want to share some things that we're doing that I hope will give you some ideas on how you can level up the way that you're using AI. But before I start with that, I'm just going to give you a little bit of history about the Healthtech Marketing Show. So the first episode was actually published almost 4 years ago to the day. And my first episode was an interview with my former client, my friend, and who was then going to soon to be a co-author, my great friend, Ben Pearson. So Ben is one of my ABM gurus, and he and I did a deep dive on how he'd been using ABM in a past company at the time. And as you probably know, we then went on to write a book together called Total Customer Growth, which is, by the way, still available in Amazon, in the Amazon bookstore, and also on Kindle as well. So the Healthtech Marketing Show has been a journey with a lot of twists and turns. I actually had a little podcast going for about 10 episodes on AI startups, particularly in digital health. And I just kind of lost interest in that. But when I started Health Launchpad, I thought this would be a really good way to sort of get our story out there and share thoughts and ideas. It's certainly not been an easy journey. And there've been a couple of times when I've really thought about sort of throwing in the towel. It's a lot of work to do. And I get frustrated sometimes, particularly sometimes when I saw that the downloads were not growing very fast. And I thought, is it really worth it? But I tell you what, I'm really glad I stuck at it. And many people have told me how much they enjoy the show. And it's really rewarding when I run into somebody at HIMSS or maybe at a Sway event and they mention how much it helps them. I can't tell you how much that means. It really means the world to me. And actually, if I'm honest, it's the number one reason I've really stuck at it. So I'm so thankful to you, the listener, for your encouragement and above all, your inspiration. We've had some fantastic guests on the show. There's just, so much talent in our industry. And everyone who's been on the show has taught me something. And then I'm grateful that many of them have gone on to become pretty good friends. I'm also very grateful to the support from HIMSS. HIMSS actually helped me get this started, and they were instrumental in the production of the first 20 or so episodes and helping me find guests. I'm also really excited about the recent addition of Healthcare Now. Being part of their syndication network has massively increased the exposure that the podcast is getting. I am not getting depressed anymore about how many downloads. We've really seen a big, big uptick. So thank you to Carol and Roberta for all your help. It's also a special episode today as I'm going to go into something that we've never really done before. And I'm going to talk about Health Launchpad. So, okay, this might be your cue to say, all right, I'm switching off and I'm going to go listen to Rogan or some AI podcast or whatever it happens to be. But I think you'll find this interesting. So please, please, please stick with me for a bit, because today we're announcing a few new things that are steps along the way to what we hope will basically mean that Health Launchpad becomes viewed as an AI-powered agency. The term that's often used, that I hear used at AI conferences, is the notion of being AI forward. And I hope that by listening to this, you're going to get some ideas about how you might be able to do some of the same things for your business. So a bit of context before I go into this. As you most likely know, with the help of members of the Healthtech Marketing Network, we conducted a survey on how health tech marketers have adopted AI and what their main pain points are. There were a couple of areas that really stood out to me. Firstly, so 98% of health tech marketing teams are using AI. Really no surprise there. But the shocking thing is only 7% of health tech marketing teams have a strategic roadmap for AI. The second thing is the number one expectation from the C-suite about how marketing teams will use AI is not actually about efficiency. It's not the old do more with less thing. It's they actually want to see us using AI to grow the pipeline. And, if I'm honest, as an organization, until about 6 months ago, we were kind of the same. We've been using AI tactically. We didn't really have a clear strategy for what we were doing. And secondly, while we were seeing efficiency gains, we really wanted to be able to use it to help our clients grow their pipelines. And to be honest, I don't think we were doing that in a meaningful way. So here's the thing. AI could be the greatest opportunity in our careers. I really believe that. It could help us make a big change in how we work and change the impact we can make in our careers and maybe in our lives. But it is both incredibly exciting and unbelievably terrifying at the same time. So I've been around a bit, and I actually was very actively involved in marketing in the agency space in the early days of the web. And that was a huge disruption. This is so much bigger. And marketing has the potential to be disrupted much, much more than other parts of the business and other industries, and be disrupted faster than many other parts of your company's business. McKinsey, they did a study, I think a year or so ago, on the impact that AI could have on various aspects of a business, various departments. And they ranked marketing as the area of the business that could deliver the greatest ROI through the impact of AI. So we are under a lot of pressure here. Now, the thing that I'm probably the most excited about is that AI is the most amazing enabler of creativity for all of us. But particularly for us as an agency, it's potentially an existential threat. So I've been thinking hard about what we can do about it. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but there are early signs that AI, and particularly generative AI, is changing the way that buyers do their research. And they're doing this in a way that puts them in greater control of how they look for new solutions. And it gives them a lot less reason to go to our websites. Lots of companies are saying that they're seeing a decline in website traffic. And this decline rather, is down to things like AIO. And guess what? This is going to get a lot worse. In fact, I was at a conference recently where some of the luminaries, and these are guys who are generally well recognized as being thought leaders in marketing, were saying that at some point in the next few years, the role of the website just basically disappears. There stops being a reason for buyers to go to our websites when they're actually deciding on who they're going to switch, which vendors they're going to switch to. the wave of disruption has really only just got started. And if we don't all actually do something about it, we're going to be roadkill in the next 2 or 3 years. I recently saw some research. I think Andy Crestodina referenced it in a presentation I saw, that 59% of marketers agree that the rate of change is completely overwhelming. And I certainly feel it myself. And I feel it when I talk to some of our clients and to other marketing leaders. So this summer, we decided it was time to put on our big boy pants and get to work and actually start to develop a real strategy for how we were using AI. We used the data from the Healthtech Marketing Network survey to guide our thinking, and we did a ton more investigation. And that included learning a lot of new skills in how to build agents, how to build GPTs, how to build technology that was separate from the LLMs. And I'm going to boil this down a little bit. In simple terms, we think about the impact of AI as helping us do 3 things. First is AI can help make hard or labor intensive things easier to do. So this is the efficiency play, if you like. And in my view, it's the least exciting thing about AI. The second thing is making the output of our work better. So if we figure out how to do this right, this is actually going to lead to a greater impact for our clients. And in the near term, it's where we believe that we can really help our clients grow their pipeline. And so our immediate focus is on how we can use AI to improve quality and performance. The third thing that the AI can do is to help us do new things that we could not have imagined that we could do, or that we just felt there were too many obstacles to getting them done. Now, a while ago, I used to work for a division of the leading global creative agency, BBDO. I indirectly worked for the chairman, then CEO, Andrew Robertson, and he's just an amazing guy. And I heard him talk on a podcast recently about the impact that AI can have on creativity. And I was surprised by what he said because, I think initially, like many companies, they were a little bit careful about how they were going to use AI. What amazed me was how Andrew explained how they are embracing it. And here's how he summed it up, is that in his view, AI has incredible potential for creative people and ideas people. And the reason is because the greatest frustrations that creatives have is that they come up with these amazing ideas and then they're told, yeah, we can't do that because it's not technically possible, or it's going to take too long, or it's going to be too expensive. So I think what we're already seeing is that AI has the potential to eliminate all 3 of those barriers. And I've saved a video in the show notes to a commercial that was created by PJ Ace. It did the rounds. I think this commercial was on the Super Bowl. And he did this using a bunch of AI tools in very little time. And it's just mind-blowing what he was able to do. So I'm going to move on, talk a little bit about what we're up to. So let's start with talking about what we're doing to make our work easier. Like many of us, we use AI in drafting content. Now, we've been really wary about, the dangers of creating AI slop. And so we use it very, very carefully. And this means that we put a lot of effort into the prompts and to what we feed the GPTs with in the creation of content. And, full disclosure, although we might use it to create an initial draft of content, that gets heavily edited afterwards. We also will then use some custom GPTs that we've created to review the copy to ensure it's optimized for SEO and the answer engines, and do some other things with GPTs to tweak the copy and make it work even harder. We're also using AI increasingly to simplify a lot of the production work. And so what we're doing is starting to use tools like Adobe's Firefly in ad production, in say resizing ad units and making that go a lot simpler. We also use tools like Descript and 11 Labs for multimedia type projects, particularly for showing clients the potential of how an ad campaign could be used in video. So I want to move on to the second thing I talked about, which is better. And when it comes to better, I heard something the other day that really resonated with me. It was a presentation I saw from the great Andy Crestodina. And he said, the definition of AI is average information. So what he means by that is if you use the generative AI tools to create content, it'll typically creating something which is good as the average writer. And you can get better output by creating much more detailed and thoughtful prompts and providing the GPTs with examples of good writing and other information to help it create a better informed piece. For example, including research or a detailed persona document. You can then also, as I mentioned before, create prompts that will review the article to ensure that it's well optimized and performs better. So this all gives our content lead the tools to make their job easier, but also helps them actually make the output even better. Now, that's all great, and I'm sure many of you are already doing this, but we want to use AI not just to do what we do faster and a little bit better, but to dramatically improve the expertise that's reflected in the quality of our work by leveraging our superpower on our passion and our knowledge in health tech marketing. Frankly, it's the thing that we're known as being experts for, especially in how healthcare buyers buy. So we asked ourselves, how could we AI enable this expertise? And what we've done is we've created a new tool called the HLP BrAIn. So the premise of the HLP BrAIn is that you feed the GPT or prompt with concentrated, high quality information. And if you do that, you get a better output. So the brain has a memory and has a motor cortex. So the memory of the brain is a vector store. So this is a way of storing data so that it's structured and automatically tagged to be especially useful to the GPTs and the prompts that you create. And by the way, just to be clear, these set of stores are secure and kept separate from the LLMs. So we're not using this information to train the LLMs. We're keeping it as a separate, concentrated store of several hundred curated assets, things like bio research, interviews with CIOs, market research reports, and then scrubbed assets like past work that have been sanitized. So it removes all references to our clients so that we, avoid exposing any of that information. The motor cortex is a workflow engine. And this workflow engine connects the memory of the HLP BrAIn to a whole bunch of custom GPTs and agents and carefully written prompts that we're creating. We're creating these on a daily basis now. We've actually built a whole suite of custom GPTs and increasingly agents as well that actually connect GPTs and do work autonomously. And the most important thing of all this is the output of what comes out of by using the HLP BrAIn is already better. So we've tested it creating multiple blogs and emails and other marketing outputs. And what we find is that if we use ChatGPT to go create that type of content, let's say we create a prompt about creating a personalized email to go to a CIO about interoperability, for example, and we just use the basic LLM, what will come out will be very good. But again, AI is average information. It's really average. It needs additional work. If we take that same prompt and say, we want you to do your research using the brain, the memory in the brain in particular, what comes out of it is markedly more expert. And we've benchmarked this. We developed a benchmarking tool, and we're already seeing a marked improvement in the level of expertise that comes across in those outputs. We're carefully feeding that brain with new assets all the time. What we don't want to do is overload it with tons and tons of information, which we could do, but we're curating information and we're putting it in there so that the brain is really an AI enablement, as I said, of our expertise. And I want to give a big shout out to our secret weapon, the amazing Ian Schneck, who we found has been doing a lot of MarTech and RevOps stuff for us. And unbeknownst to us, he was also very proficient at building things with this AI technology. So hats off to you, Ian. You're doing a cracking job. The second part of doing better work is that I mentioned we've created multiple custom GPTs and agents. So a custom GPT is a very detailed prompt that often has multiple steps. And the agents that we're creating are stringing together the GPTs and taking autonomous actions like creating documents in certain formats or going and accessing a file in Google Sheets or something like that. One of the most amazing GPTs we created was developed by our Chief Strategy Officer, Mark Erwick. What this GPT does is it creates highly detailed personas. And then what we can do is gather those personas together. So maybe, it creates a persona of a CIO, a CMIO, Chief Medical Officer, maybe the Chief Financial Officer. And then it creates a virtual buyer group. And then from that virtual buyer group, it then builds up an extremely detailed buyer journey. And then what we can do is then use that to assess the content on your website to pinpoint where you've got assets that can be leveraged, where you've got content that needs to be refreshed, or where you've got gaps in your content where you're not going to meet the needs of the buyers as they go through the buyer journey. So this set of GPTs essentially strung together as an agent took over 30 hours to build, and we're constantly improving on it. So I've been taking stock of some of the things that we've been building in the last few months. And I was blown away at how many we've created. I was really surprised at how many the team has created. And some of them are actually good enough that we think of them as teammates that actually work alongside our folks. And actually, if you want to see them, you can go to the About section on healthlaunchpad.com, and we've added them to the website as members of the team because we genuinely think of them that way. So let's move on to talk a bit about what we're doing that's a new thing, especially a new thing for our clients. And we hope that this is going to help bring a lot of value in how they can use AI. So if you listen to my podcast a few episodes back, maybe it's actually just one episode back with Nick Panay, this will give you a glimpse into what your future could look like if you have a really well AI enabled marketing team. So one of the new offerings that we're coming out with is called AI Empowerment Consulting. So what this is a strategic process to help you develop an AI roadmap so you can be like Nick Panay. The second thing is AIO, and this stands for AI optimization. And this is going to help you understand how well your website and your content performs with AI overviews and the generative AI engines like ChatGPT and Perplexity. And then lastly, we're doing a new thing called HLP on Call. So what HLP on Call is, it allows you to use our team of experts. And basically our team of experts is on tap when you need it. And this will allow you to get all the benefits of the BrAIn and the GPTs and the AI agents that we use in our work. And, one of the things that's been so exciting is seeing how our team has really stepped up. There's a real enthusiasm to meet the moment. And it's just rewarding to see the delight and pride the members of the team have in what they're building. And they're just learning new skills and they're putting them to work. As you can tell, we've got a lot going on. There's more to come, so stay tuned. And I want to make you an offer as we come to a close here, which is if you're wrestling with this whole issue of how to use AI and you're looking for some thoughts on how to get started with your AI journey, give me a call or more to the point, book a call with me. And there's a link down below. I promise you nothing for sale here. Just want to have a chat, hear about what you're doing, what you're thinking, maybe share a few ideas with you, and hope to be of value to you. Just if nothing else, use this as a sounding board. So with that, I want to thank you for listening. and bids you au revoir until we meet again on a future episode of the Healthtech Marketing Show.